All right, it's almost midnight. You have nowhere to go. It's your first night homeless ever. You need to find a safe place to sleep. Where do you go? I lived this and I survived it. Follow me. I'm gonna show you what to do. You're gonna be tempted to come down someplace like this. There's a wall blocking you. No one lives there. You think this is safe, but here's the problem with that. You have to use your discernment. If you're in a semi-nice part of town, you can't just be laying in a ditch. Someone's gonna drive by and think you're dead. Boom, next thing you know, cops show up. So you gotta go out of sight. You can't be that close to civilization. This spot's out. All right, the first rule of being homeless is you always want to keep a low profile. You want to go unseen if possible. You don't want people to know what you're up to. You don't want to make friends. You literally want to stay under the radar as best as you can. Because out here, especially when you're new, people will want to know who you are. They don't know what you're about, or they might want to steal from you. That's why you got to stay under the radar. You also want to avoid high traffic areas. Cut through neighborhoods like we're doing right now. Don't walk the main streets, at least in the beginning, till you get a good lay of the land. So because you're newly homeless, you're gonna be nervous, you're gonna be shell-shocked. I don't care how tough you think you are. This is brand new territory and you're not gonna know what to do. You're gonna be tempted to come to a nice place like this, an underdeveloped neighborhood. But here's the deal. This is the worst place you can go because anyone who lives here is always gonna be looking. All it takes is one phone call to say, hey, I don't know who this guy is. He's got a backpack, he looks homeless. Go check him out, and boom, that's it for you. This place is out. We're still right in the middle of civilization. Depends on where you're at, but if you're around people, you gotta find a place that's not so close to someone where they can see you, but not far enough out to where you're vulnerable. Depending on how tired you are, you're gonna see that wall. You're gonna think, you know what, I'll just rest my bones for a second. Again, horrible idea, because you are so exposed. None of these people here know what you're up to. For all they know, you could have just killed someone and you're running from the cops. This spot's out. One of the hardest things about staying low profile is you gotta always be looking for a place. You gotta know your surroundings, but you can't be looking so much that people think you're weird. You gotta keep your head straight forward. Don't be on a swivel like this. Just be cool. Pay attention to your surroundings without tipping people off. Here's the thing about laying down on random benches. You're next to a movie theater, you're in a big parking lot, you're still gonna be a target even if you wait for people to leave and it's after hours. At best, this bench, all you can use this for is to rest up for 10-20 minutes, but don't sit down if you're gonna fall asleep, because once again, you're gonna blow your cover and all this is gonna be for nothing. This spot is usually not good because again, you're in a parking lot, you're next to a movie theater, but here's the deal. These lights will go off at some point. You're blocked by these ferns. There's kind of a little horseshoe thing here. This is not optimum, but if this is all you have versus laying in someone's yard or laying in the road, you would take this over nothing else. But I give this about a C+. You'd have to wake up before the sun comes up, which is always tricky. This is not the best spot, but if it's all you got, you would take this over nothing else. Now look, you always gotta assess where you're at physically, emotionally, and mentally before you go out finding a place to lay down for the night. There were days that because I walked so much, I walked 10 miles a day easily. My feet would be so swollen, I couldn't literally walk anymore. So knowing that, I would find a place that was like a C+, like the one we just saw, and I would say, you know what, this is good enough tonight. It's gonna at least keep me safe for a little while, and I can deal with the consequences when I wake up. The worst thing you wanna do is push yourself so hard or exasperate yourself to the point of you're about to just pass out, and now you're in the middle of a parking lot, you can't do anything. That's the worst thing you can do. Always assess where you're at and go from there. All right, we're back behind the strip center of stores right here. I would recommend, again, sleeping like back behind that dumpster, back behind that storage thing, but here's the deal. If that's all you have, it's better than nothing. I give this spot a B-, only because these stores are all active. They have security people, and at the end of the day, they don't care if you're homeless, they don't care if you're tweaking. If they catch you sleeping behind the store, they will call the cops on you. But it's better than nothing, so keep that in mind. All right, so I slept in a spot like that, back in the corner, the first few nights I was homeless. Only thing was, All that was an abandoned store. No one was working there. So I didn't have to worry about people coming out the back. When cars would drive by that way, I would shimmy up behind the semi like that. They had a semi just like that, and it kept me safe. It gave me enough time to get my bearings about me, see what the environment was about. I give a spot like this a B-. It's not optimum, but if that's all you got, it's better than nothing. All right, this next spot is deceiving, but it's really good. I gotta be careful because some workers came out the back. I'm telling you, they have cameras, they look. When you're walking around acting like you have nowhere to go, people pay attention to you. Now this spot right here, this is a good spot. I'll tell you why. It's positioned just enough to block people coming from that way and to block people coming from that way. And here's the other thing. It's right out in the open. It's so much in the open, no one's gonna think someone is curled up right in that corner right there. This is an example of a spot you could do overnight. You're not staying here permanently, but crawled up under there will give you enough shelter. It'll keep you out of view just enough to let you get semi good night's sleep. And when you get up, you keep on going. I give this spot a B+. Let's go. Here's the other obvious thing about this. You can't just walk 100 circles in a parking lot or a shopping center and think no one's gonna notice you. By that time, someone's paying attention to you. They might have even called the cops on you already. People aren't dumb. They know who's homeless. If you had a bag like this, usually you're carrying like an HEB bag. That was the telltale sign. I used to have a rule. I'd walk once down, make one pass. If I saw something I wanted to investigate a little more, I'd make one more pass. And that second pass, if I didn't take it, I kept going. That's why you gotta make sure you make your moves count. Now look, a spot right up in there, behind the bushes, that is not bad either. Because you're backing up to some field. No one's gonna notice you. Only thing is, all the lights are still on, okay? You'd have to come there late at night. And you wanna avoid that if all possible. But again, if that's your last option, it's better than nothing. I would give that a C+, but you would try to avoid it at all costs if you could. You gotta train yourself to have a photographic memory. Even if you don't stay in this area tonight, you always know what's around you, because there might come a night when someone takes your other spot and you remember, oh yeah, there's a bush that's behind a dumpster that could shelter me for the night. You gotta always be thinking about this stuff. Hotels are a great spot to take a load off and just chill for a second, but you gotta be inconspicuous. And here's the deal. One of my best hustles was early in the morning. You'd find a hotel that was like a rundown hotel, like a Motel 6. This one's way too nice, but you'd find like a Motel 6 that had continental breakfast. You get up about 5:45, right when breakfast starts. You'd walk in, sit your stuff down. I always got waffles and Cheerios. It's a part of a beautiful, nutritious breakfast. Get up and go. I did that scam a couple times a week for like the whole year I was on the streets. The key is to just blend in. They weren't checking IDs, they don't know. But if you walk in like, oh hey, you're gonna give yourself away. These are the little things I picked up along the way. And I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud that I used to live that way, but you know what? When you live on the streets and you're hungry, you got nowhere to go, you'd either adapt or you just let it kill you. You gotta assess what your needs are for the night. If you're looking for a full-time spot, you wanna go during the day where you have more time to really evaluate where you're at, what's around you. But if you're stuck like tonight, you got like 30 minutes, you gotta decide, you gotta get off the street, you gotta just find something. See that? There's a little border wall, there's some ferns up against the target. Here's the deal. That's not a bad spot either, because no one's gonna assume someone's sleeping back there. However, you're gonna have to get up before the sun rises, because there's a loading dock right there, and if someone sees you, hey, they are legally bound to call the cops, because if you got hurt on their property, they could get sued. You gotta always keep these things in the back of your head. I literally could walk 10, 15 miles a day sometimes. I walked 20 miles one day, and after that I couldn't walk anymore because my feet were so swollen. That's why it's so important to have a bike if you can help it. Now here's a spot to remember, down in the woods right there, but it's not the right night for it. You need supplies, you need cardboard. I like to get some wooden pallets. I would get wooden pallets, lay it in the woods like that, get about 10 square feet of pallets, get a bunch of cardboard, get some towels that I would steal, don't tell anyone, and I'd make a little bed and I'd put it right in the middle of those woods. These little things you gotta remember. If we had to choose one right now, we would go electrical box behind the strip center, then we would go the bushes behind the Target as our backup. However, there's one more spot and it's a park. And we're gonna walk through the apartment complex to get to the park because it makes us blend in and look like we're a resident. Let's go check it out. Again, it's after midnight, it's late, you wanna just blend in, you don't wanna draw attention to yourself, just be cool. In the back of your mind, you say, you know what, I'm just going to the park. Nothing wrong, people go to the park all the time. Keep your head down and just keep going. All right, this is the A+ spot for the night. It's not the best though long term because the park is closed. We're not supposed to be in here. And there are some apartments that line the opposite wall of where we're at. There's always people up. And one of them's gonna see us. They're gonna call the cops because they're dicks. Their names are Chad or Karen. But here's the deal. If this is all we got, this is better than nothing. And based on all the spots we've seen tonight, this is an A+. If someone were to come over here and bang on the door and say, what are you doing? All you do is you say, you know what? I was walking around, I was sick, I wasn't feeling good. I saw a bathroom and I came to lay down. Chances are they're not gonna arrest you, they're not gonna call the cops over that. You just say, my bad, keep it moving. Number one thing to remember if you're on the streets, stay under the radar, blend in, and choose your spot wisely. Because out here, it's different rules. No one's your friend. You can't trust anyone. And on top of that, you gotta do what you gotta do to stay safe.